It's the battle on Bay Street, and we've got so many highlights and so many storylines to show you, starting with the walk-ins for both teams, looking sharp as they enter Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. It's a capacity crowd, it's a sellout, and the last game between these two was a shootout, so you know they've got each other in their sights. Looking at the lineups, we've got Kristen O'Neill back in from Montreal, but defender Dominika Leskova is still out, so we have Madison Bizal taking her spot. For Toronto, their rivalry series line of Nurse, Malte, and Spooner, who played so great in the last few games, definitely are showing some signs of chemistry. And Sarah Nurse is starting to look like the Sarah Nurse we all know and love. And look, it's Kenzie, it's Cheryl Pounder. We wish they could do all the games. Of course, Natalie Spooner is one of the biggest storylines coming into this with 10 goals in 10 games. And of course, a hat trick in her last game. And don't forget about Marie-Philippe Poulin, Captain Canada, who gets a big ovation from the crowd, along with Anne-Renee Desbiens. Kristen Campbell herself has 4 wins in a row, so she's been playing hot. And as we're about to get underway, there's a special moment as Kia Nurse drops the puck between Poulin and Sarah Nurse, her cousin. But let's get to the hockey. We've got a lot to cover. There's Desbiens, she's coming off the rivalry series win. And there's Campbell. You know, one of the coolest things about broadcasting from Scotiabank are the cool camera angles here at the opening face-off. Nurse against Poulin, and they are underway. So early on in the first, we've got a good chance for Rebecca Leslie as she gets a shot off from in the slot. Desbiens is high in her crease to make that save. You know, Montreal will spend time in their end playing defense and then suddenly break loose as they did here with Poulin. She carries it in, and actually Poulin takes a bad fall here and hits the boards as she collides with Renata Fast. It looks like she'll be okay. Then Montreal's Katie Tabin takes a penalty when she slashes the hands of Blair Turnbull. So the Toronto power play gets a chance. It's clicking at about 10% at 3 for 32, which is third in the league. Not too much happening on the power play until Emma Malte drives through the center of the ice and dishes it over to Spooner, who gets off a good shot. They know Spooner has the hot hand, so they're looking to get it to her, and she gets off a good chance here. Montreal's penalty killing is 4th in the league at about 87%. If you look at the power play setup that they're running, it's 3 up top with Hannah Miller ready here to fade in, and she gets the puck here, gets a great shot from down in the circle. Not quite enough of a screen there, but that was a really good play. Catches Desbiens in the arm. Emma Malte takes a penalty, so now it's Montreal to the power play. And here's Poulin as she skates in, passes it over to Venisheva, who's hooked by Renata Fast as she goes to the net, and that's going to be another penalty. So a 5-on-3 for Montreal for 1 minute. And that's an especially big test for Toronto with Malte and Renata Fast in the box. I'm not going to question any coach, but at this point I might have called my timeout so that Marie-Philippe Poulin could be on the ice for the 5-on-3, but instead she's on the bench. And as they work it around, it looks like they're trying for this short side play. First we see Maureen Murphy down low, trying that short side up high. And they work it back around from up top to the side where Kennedy Marchment tries that same angle. But Kristen Campbell looks like she's on top of that one. And having a 5-on-3 against is not easy this early on in the game. So Toronto kills off both parts of the penalty, and Montreal has 6 shots on the combined power play. And we do have a new women's hockey attendance record, 19,285. Back to the game, it's Maggie Connors with a great-looking pass to Victoria Bach back door. She's looking for her first goal, and that was almost it. Then we've got LaRocque, gathers it up and sends it to Blair Turnbull, who almost knocks that out of mid-air with great hand-eye coordination. There's another look at the chance by Bach. And there's Turnbull, who tries to get that up and over. It almost drops in. but that's basketball and that's a different sport. Then we've got a bit of an unnecessary penalty here by Hannah Miller, who interferes pretty clearly with Laura Stacey. And look at Jocelyn the Rock here as she makes a great play to block a shot by Venisheva. Poulin gets off a sneaky shot and another one. Of course, all of her shots get through, and there's a lot of pushing and shoving as that play comes to a close. Here's another look at that great block shot by Jocelyn the Rock as she takes that right in the hand. Then, just before the end of the first, there's one more chance here as Sarah Nurse dishes it out from the corner to Natalie Spooner, who gets off a pretty good-looking screenshot. But that's stopped by Desbiens, and the first period comes to a close with no score. Another really cool thing that they're doing here is interviewing Sarah Nurse on the bench. Of course, they did that during the All-Star game, but that's just something to make this event special. So the shots after the first period are 10-9. We had 4 power plays, and all of those were killed off, obviously. So as the second period gets underway, about a minute in, we've got that Nurse, Malte, Spooner line again. Emma Malte digs it out from the corner, backhands it out, and both Spooner and Nurse can't get that one past Desbiens. And here's a look at a great Poulin play as she reads a miscommunication at the blue line, waits for the puck, and dishes it over to Keppel for a great shot. Now into the middle part of the period, Sarah Nurse grabs the puck, cuts across a nice angle. She looks like she has her legs going so much better than she did at the start of the season. And speaking of great skaters, there's Renata Fast, who skates in here, gets a chance, but it's Erin Ambrose, her Team Canada teammate, who blocks that one. And again, there's that first line with Spooner digging at the side of the net. It's grabbed here, though, by Poulin, who breaks the other way. And that should pretty clearly show you what both teams' play style is like. There's Fast again. Tries to dig that one across, but it's stopped by Ambrose. Now, about 10 minutes in, we've got some scrambly play by Toronto as Claire Dalton and Catherine Dubois combine to converge on the net. Toronto can't clear it. Campbell actually loses her stick and has to play with a defender's stick. Then we've got Brittany Howard, who is out with the fourth line briefly. She gets dumped, but actually got a pretty good shot off. It's a nice pass from Lauriane Rougeau off the boards, who actually springs her for that shot. And it's almost grabbed and put in by Samantha Cogan. And then you get Poulin with this burst of speed. Don't give her that much time. Don't let her through. And she dips the shoulder. Kirsten Campbell says, I think I've seen that move before. This time it didn't work. Whew, when she decides she's going to just blow past everyone, you just can't stop her.
And that's what the best looks like, folks. And she got it all.
Then we've got a penalty called here to Cogan that the crowd really doesn't like. She does go to the box for elbowing, but about 10 seconds into that Montreal power play, Teresa Venisheva takes a penalty, so we're going to play some 4-on-4. And about the only chance we get on this is another Nurse pass over to Spooner, who kind of loses the handle on this one. Uh-oh, is her scoring touch gone? Probably not. So after 2, we are still scoreless. It's been exciting, but no goals. Montreal's actually out shooting Toronto, but the run of play looks like it's been carried more by Toronto for me. Into the third we go. It's Hannah Miller who dumps that in to Brittany Howard. Misses her shot completely, but comes back to Miller in the corner. Behind the net to Howard, out front to Jessie Comfer, and she scores. That is her first goal, and it's a beauty, and the crowd is excited for Toronto to be up 1-0 finally. Good work there by Hannah Miller, who dug that out, and over to Howard. She dug it out again to Howard behind the net. That's a great goal for Comfer. She's all smiles, and her teammates are really happy to see her score that one, and it's a huge goal. And the parade to the penalty box continues as Maggie Connors gets called for hooking on Venisheva, who draws a lot of penalties with her speed. But it looks like Toronto has a jailbreak on their mind as Turnbull dishes that out off the boards to Malte, She's in alone on desbiens, but can't get that one to go. It comes the other way. Stacy gets a pretty good shot off. Then as the power play comes to an end, Renata Fast shows just great speed and smarts to close on that play and shut it down. Then she is called for cross-checking on Kristen O'Neill. Yeah, it is a penalty, but O'Neill gets a lot of those calls because she is a little bit smaller, and that is the 9th penalty in the game. Toronto clears the zone nicely here, but it's fed up to Poulin, who just wings this one in on net, and it seems to have eyes, but it doesn't go in. She's been threatening all night long. Now with just about 5 minutes left, it's again at the blue line where Hannah Miller keeps it in, has a little trouble there with Monroe, but decides she's going to walk it in, take the shot, and that beats desbiens. She skated back up to regroup and decided, I'm just going to put this on net. It's a good hard low shot, and that is a huge goal for that much needed second goal for Toronto. That's Miller's 3rd goal overall, and it's also her 28th birthday. So with the 2-goal deficit, Coach Chevry decides to pull the goalie, but there's a bit of a miscue at the line as Erin Ambrose can't keep it in, and it goes to Victoria Bach, who sends it in the empty net. That is her 1st goal. She'll take it. The building is shaking. This has just been a great night for the Toronto home team. That's the game. It's another shutout. It's been a great night for Campbell and her team in front of her. Great night of hockey all the way around. Terrific experience for the fans. And with those 3 points, Toronto actually moves ahead of Montreal into 2nd, just on points, although they've played more games. And our star of the game, of course, is Kristen Campbell with the shutout. She now has a 5-game win streak, and she's bounced back from that rough start. I'm going to pretend I never questioned her. She's recorded 2 of the league's 4 shutouts this season and leads the league with 6 wins, 2 more than the next 2, Corinne Schroeder and Nicole Hensley. Their 4-game win streak is the longest of any team this season, and they've completely turned things around as I predicted they would. Nothing but bang-on predictions here in this channel. But let me know what you think of these highlights and of the game in general. We'll be back with more game recaps, and of course, the Puck Drop podcast is coming up, so watch for that. I appreciate you liking, subscribing, and sharing, and we'll see you in the next one.